The film opens with 17-year-old Veronica in a school bathroom, anxiously taking a pregnancy test. The result is positive. In her distress, she accidentally drops the test. Just then, a girl named Bailey walks in, sees the test, and picks it up. Veronica tries to retrieve it, but one of their classmates enters, forcing Bailey to hide the test and quickly leave. Fearing exposure, Veronica follows her. A little later, Veronica confronts Bailey about the test. Bailey assures her she won't tell anyone, explaining it's because they were once childhood friends. We learn their strong friendship ended after Bailey's parents divorced, leading to her depression. Veronica, meanwhile, distanced herself, becoming popular, leaving Bailey isolated and without friends. Bailey tries to reconnect and offers to help, but Veronica isn't interested. She only wants to know where the test is. Bailey tells her she threw it in the trash. Veronica returns home and searches online for clinics that perform abortions for girls under 18. She finds a clinic in New Mexico and calls to confirm they provide the service without informing parents. She calculates the distance and costs, but the money she has isn't enough. Deciding to travel, she begins packing her bag. She tells her mother she'll be spending 3 days at her friend Emily's house. Upon arriving at Emily's, Veronica finds 2 other friends there. Before she can tell them anything, they inform her that the janitor found a pregnancy test in the school trash and posted a photo of it on the school website. All the students are trying to find out whose test it is, and her friends are surprised that a girl would do something like that at school. Hearing their comments, Veronica feels she can't tell them anything. Veronica calls her boyfriend, Kevin, and asks to meet him. That night, he meets her at a restaurant, and she tells him everything that happened. Kevin apologizes, saying he's responsible, then pulls out an expensive ring and proposes to her in front of everyone. Veronica takes the ring and tells him she'll give him an answer in 3 days. After that, she feels confused, unsure who can help her, until she remembers Bailey. She goes to Bailey's house, surprising her, then tells her everything and asks her to come with her to the clinic. Bailey agrees, especially since her father lives in New Mexico and might be able to help them. Veronica and Bailey start their road trip by car. The first thing Veronica does is sell the ring Kevin gave her so she can afford the cost of the procedure. Suddenly, she's shocked to see Kevin at the shop. He admits he was tracking her through her phone. They argue, and she breaks his phone. Kevin asks her to answer the marriage proposal immediately, but she refuses and tells him she plans to have an abortion. He tries to convince her to change her mind, but she's determined. Kevin attempts to take the ring from the shop owner, but the owner pulls a rifle on him and kicks him out. He takes his phone and leaves. Veronica takes the money and continues the journey with Bailey. After a while of driving, they get tired and pull over by the side of the road. Veronica tells Bailey they'll only sleep for 4 hours so they can reach the clinic on time. The next day, Veronica wakes up late, quickly rousing Bailey and rushing her without letting her finish breakfast. They get in the car, and Veronica asks her to drive faster. Unexpected obstacles. Bailey notices a police car behind them, so she changes route and stops at a diner, pretending she's hungry. Inside the diner, they meet a guy named Jared who offers them a ride, but Bailey refuses. Suddenly, Veronica sees police officers standing near their car, and Bailey admits that the car belongs to her stepfather, and she stole it. The police come inside looking for them, but Jared jumps on a table and starts speaking loudly to distract them, giving Veronica and Bailey a chance to escape. After the escape, Bailey breaks down and blames herself, saying she's irresponsible and wants to turn herself in. But Veronica reassures her, telling her that she's actually proven to be responsible and that they can continue the trip even without a car. This, Veronica says, is proof she can help people and solve problems. Suddenly, Jared appears in front of them with his car and his friends. Veronica thanks him for what he did and asks him to take them to the nearest bus station. However, he tells them it's hard to find buses at that time and suggests his friend drive them instead. He takes them to a car racetrack where they meet Kira, Jared's friend. He tells her what happened and asks her to drive them to New Mexico, and she agrees. Kira tells them to wait at the amusement park nearby until she changes clothes. But Veronica doesn't feel comfortable around Kira and senses something could go wrong on the way while talking to Bailey about the clinic appointment. Suddenly, Peter and his wife Rebecca show up and offer to drive them to New Mexico since they're heading there too. When Veronica says she doesn't have any money, Peter assures her they don't want anything, they just want to help. When Veronica sees that they have a child, she feels safe and goes to apologize to Kira, then continues the trip with Peter and Rebecca. The next morning, they wake up in the car and find themselves in front of Peter's house, where they have breakfast. During breakfast, Rebecca uses the chance to talk to Veronica about the harms of abortion, and she admits that she answered a call from Kevin while Veronica was asleep and found out everything. At the same time, Bailey goes into a room in the house and discovers that Peter and his wife are part of an anti-abortion group. Suddenly, Peter appears behind her. Bailey screams and runs to Veronica, telling her to grab the car keys. They escape quickly in the car and continue their journey, but Peter chases them with a bus and talks to them through a loudspeaker, trying to convince Veronica not to go through with the procedure because she might not be able to have children again. Veronica asks Bailey to speed up and get away from the crazy guy, but they find themselves in the middle of the desert with a high cliff ahead of them. They come up with a clever plan, pull off a trick, and manage to escape from Peter. After that, they keep walking through the desert, exhausted and thirsty. When they see train tracks, they get excited and run toward them. At that moment, a train passes by, and they try to hop on, but they can't because it's moving too fast. Veronica gets discouraged and starts talking to herself, upset about everything that's been happening to her. Bailey reminds her there's a nearby bus station, so they rush over but find it completely empty. Veronica notices a limousine rental office next to the station and knocks on the door until the owner, Bob, opens it. Bob is suspicious and asks who told them about his place. Veronica explains they're lost and asks for his help to get to New Mexico. After hearing her story, Bob sympathizes with her and agrees to give them a ride. During the drive, Bailey falls asleep while Veronica stays awake, thinking about the procedure. Suddenly, Veronica gets a call from her friends who say they found out the pregnancy test belonged to Bailey because someone saw her throwing it away. They start speaking badly about Bailey, and Veronica doesn't defend her. In fact, when her friends ask about Bailey's character, Veronica says awful things about her. However, Bailey is actually awake and hears everything. Bailey gets very upset, lashes out, and jumps out of the car. Veronica follows her to apologize, saying she only did that to protect herself from scandal. Bailey argues with her, calling her selfish, and reminds her that she was the only one who agreed to help her, yet Veronica betrayed her in front of her friends. Then, Bailey walks away, leaving Veronica feeling heartbroken and guilty. Suddenly, Veronica remembers Bailey might have gone to her father's house. She describes his address to Bob and asks him to drive her there. When they arrive, Veronica sees Bailey talking to her father. Even though he hasn't seen her in a long time, he's irritated by her visit and tells her to leave. At that moment, Veronica steps in and tells Bailey's dad that he doesn't deserve to be the father of someone like Bailey. Veronica begins talking passionately about all of Bailey's good qualities. The more he tries to shut her down, the more she raises her voice in anger. In a sudden moment of rage, Veronica tases him with a stun gun, then grabs Bailey and runs with her to the car. Veronica apologizes to Bailey, saying she's the best friend she's ever had. Bailey accepts her apology, and they continue the trip together. Eventually, they reach the clinic. Bob says goodbye, telling them to take care of themselves, but Veronica is shocked to find Kevin waiting for her at the clinic. Kevin tries to talk her out of having the abortion, but Veronica won't listen, especially after he talked to Rebecca and shared her private story. He threatens to expose her to everyone in town and tell them about the pregnancy test and the abortion. Veronica calmly tells him she doesn't care who knows and asks him to leave her alone. Then, she enters the clinic and goes through with the procedure. After the operation, Veronica comes out and hugs Bailey. Then, each of them calls her mom to let her know she's safe. That night, Veronica returns home and tells her mother everything that happened. Although her mom is upset she kept it a secret, she hugs Veronica tightly, knowing she's been through a very tough experience. The next day at school, Veronica approaches her friends and tells them that she's the one who took the pregnancy test, not Bailey. She opens up about everything that happened, and her friends feel sorry for her. When they ask who helped her through all of it, Veronica looks over at Bailey and says she was helped by the best friend she could ever have. In the final scene, Veronica goes to sit with Bailey, and the movie ends.